Hello students, today we will discuss about production and analysis of plane polarized light. It is like a conclusion of what we have learned so far. So we have seen that we can produce plane polarized light if a light is incident on a metallic non-metallic surface at a polarizing angle or Brewster's angle, in which the reflected light will be completely plane polarized. That is, it would consist of vibrations perpendicular to the plane of incidence. And the second method was we can also get the plane polarized light using refraction, but in that case we would have to use pile of plates to get completely plane polarized light. And another method is we can go for Nicol prism, where it rely on the principle of double refraction, and the last method is polaright, which rely on dichroism. So how do you analyze a plane polarized light? Yes, if you have a plane polarized light incident on an analyzer, if the plane of transmission of the analyzer is parallel to the incident, the polarization of the incident light, then what you expect? Yeah, we expect a maximum intensity. And if the light is incident on the analyzer in such a way that it is perpendicular to the transmission axis of the analyzer, then we won't be getting any emergent light. That means we get zero intensity. So for a plane polarized light, if it is analyzed using an analyzer, rotating the analyzer, we can see that it can become parallel twice, and hence you'll get maximum intensity twice, and it can become perpendicular twice, and hence you'll be getting zero intensity twice on a complete rotation of the analyzer. So this is the point you have to remember. Now let us see what happens with the elliptically polarized light. For that, we have seen that elliptically polarized light are formed due to the superposition of two waves which are of unequal amplitude, and hence their vibration, and also their vibrations must be at right angle to each other. That means they must be orthogonal to each other, and they must have a phase difference of 90 degree or pi by 2 radians between them. So these are the conditions for getting an elliptically polarized light, the theory of which has been seen in the earlier classes. So we have to discuss the theory again, and then coming on to the production, we can see that the plane polarized light, if it is passed through a quarter wave plate, then you can get a path difference of lambda by 4, or which is same as phase difference of pi by 2, and it must be incident at an angle other than 0 degree or 45 degree or 90 degree. So what happens if it is incident at 0 degree? If it is 0 degree, then it will be completely, that is, it will be along, the vibration will be along only one direction. So we won't be getting the two right angled vibrating vectors. If it is at 45 degree, what happens? Then what will happen? They will split. That is, this is the case in which the light is incident. Let us consider this as a material, and if it is incident parallel to the optic axis, that is what you mean by 0 degree, then what will happen? There is nothing to split up along the right direction. Okay, so what happens? Everything will be along this particular vertical direction along. So you won't be getting any particular kind of elliptically polarized light, because we require two orthogonal rays to produce elliptically polarized light. Now if it is at making an angle 45 degree, that means the light is incident in such a way that it is making 45 degree. So what happens when it is 45 degree? It will be split along this direction. and it will be split along the optic axis direction. So one will be cos theta and other will be sin theta. And you know cos theta and sin theta are the same for theta equal 45 degree. So they will have equal amplitude. So if they have equal amplitude, if two orthogonal vectors of equal amplitude superpose, what you get? You'll get circularly polarized light instead of elliptically polarized light. And what happens if it is 90 degree? Again the same case will be there, that is the light will be along this direction making an angle 90 degree. So will there be anything to split along the vertical direction? No. So everything will be along the vibrating along the horizontal direction alone, which means we won't be having two orthogonal waves proceeding through the material. So these angles are not permitted. What are these angles? These are the angles made by the incident plane polarized light with respect to the optic axis of the material. Okay, so in order to produce an elliptically polarized light, a plane polarized light must be incident on a quarter wave plate at angles other than 0, 45 or 90 degree. So elliptically polarized light will be obtained, and how do you analyze it? So before that we can see that, let me show you to this particular point. That is, this is the case. We have seen that the light was incident at angle, will be making an angle with the optic axis. So based on this theta only, you make it elliptically polarized light or circularly polarized light or plane polarized light. So it has to make an angle other than 45 or 0 or 90, okay, in order to get a plane polarized light. Okay, so let's come back to our previous slide. So how do you, now you have produced the elliptically polarized light, how do you analyze such a elliptically polarized light? So imagine this is the elliptically polarized light. The resultant vector, the tip of the resultant vector will be moving in an elliptical way. So we can see that there is one axis which is having least diameter and the other axis which has maximum amplitude. Okay, so consider we are analyzing it using a polarizer or a nickel prism. So if this axis is parallel to the short axis or minor axis, what will happen? What kind of intensity you can expect? You'll get a minimum intensity. Now let us consider the polarizer is making an angle, the plane is parallel with the major axis. So what you can expect as the output? You will expect a maximum intensity. But that is the case that is seen with a partially polarized light also. So hope you remember, a partially polarized light was represented as it would be having amplitude in one direction, and for a unpolarized light it would be having equal amplitude in the horizontal direction also. But in the case of partially polarized light, it would be having a longer amplitude in one direction and shorter amplitude in other direction. So if you allow a partially polarized light to pass through a polarizer or an analyzer, what you can expect is a case of minimum intensity and maximum intensity on rotating the analyzer. So how do you distinguish a partially, whether it is a partially polarized light that is incident or whether it is an elliptically polarized light that is incident on the analyzer? So in order to differentiate between partially polarized light and elliptically polarized light, what we do is that we will again pass the incident light, that is this one. Incident light is passed through a quarter wave plate. So what will happen? If it is an elliptically polarized light, if it passes through quarter wave plate, what will happen? We have seen it earlier. Let me show you again. That is, if an elliptically polarized light is passed through a quarter wave plate, inside the quarter wave plate, it will undergo again a path difference of lambda by 4 or a phase difference of pi by 2. So this elliptically polarized light already have a pi by 2 path difference. So now again when it is passed through a quarter wave plate, it will have again a phase difference of pi by 2. So total phase difference will become 180 degree. So what will be the ray then? It will be a linearly polarized light. Okay, so if an elliptically polarized light is passed through a quarter wave plate, you'll get back the plane polarized light. So considering that principle, we'll pass the incident light through a quarter wave plate so that we assume that it would have become a plane polarized light. Now if you pass it through an analyzer and analyze it, you can see that what you can see now, yeah, instead of maximum and minimum intensity, now you get a zero intensity if the plane is perpendicular to the plane polarized light, and you'll get maximum intensity if the plane is parallel to the plane polarized light. Okay, so if it was instead of elliptically polarized light, if it was a partially polarized light, then what would have happened? If it is passed through a quarter wave plate, will it make any difference? No, it will be like a partially polarized light itself. Okay, so this is how we distinguish an elliptically polarized light from a partially polarized light. Okay, so next let's see about the production and detection of circularly polarized light. So what is a circularly polarized light? Yeah, it is formed due to the superposition of two waves of equal amplitude, and they must be orthogonal. That means the vibration of electric vector must be right angle to each other, and they must have a phase difference of pi by 2 between them. So how do you produce the circularly polarized light? For that, we make a plane polarized light to pass through a quarter wave plate at 45 degree. So from the previous consideration, we have seen that if it makes 45 degree with the optic axis, if the incident plane polarized light makes 45 degree with the optic axis, dotted line represents the optic axis. So what happens? It will be resolved along optic axis as well as perpendicular to the optic axis. So if it is resolved along optic axis, it would be like E cos theta, which is E cos theta will be E0 by 2. And what about this one? This will also having the same value because sin theta and cos theta are having the same value. So for 45 degree, the amplitude along this direction will be same as the amplitude along this direction, and hence we'll be satisfying the condition for circularly polarized light, and hence what you get will be a circularly polarized light. Now how do you analyze it? So consider if you are passing it through a Nicol prism, then what will happen? Yeah, if you rotate the analyzer at every time, it will be parallel to the diameter, right? So in any direction, if we rotate the analyzer, it will be moving along the diameter. For a circle, you know the diameter of a circle is the same. So in whatever direction you are rotating the analyzer, it will be always parallel to the maximum amplitude, and hence we cannot expect any variation in the intensity. So the same thing can be found with another kind of ray also. Which ray is that? Which kind of polarization is that? Where on rotating the analyzer, where you do not get any density variation. Which is that? Yes, it is the unpolarized light. Unpolarized light is also represented in this way, right? Where you have we expect equal amplitude in whatever direction, symmetric distribution, right? So in whatever direction it is vibrating, it is expected to have a equal vibration. So we cannot distinguish whether the incident light is unpolarized light or a circularly polarized light. So what you do then? Yeah, we use the same strategy we use for elliptically polarized light. First, it will be passed through a quarter wave plate. So if a circularly polarized light is passed through a quarter wave plate, it will become plane polarized light. Now if you analyze it, what will happen? What will be the case? If the analyzer, the plane of the analyzer is perpendicular to the plane of the polarized light, then you'll get zero intensity. While if it is parallel, then you'll get, if it is parallel, then you'll get maximum intensity. Okay, but if it was unpolarized light, if it is passed through a quarter wave plate, there won't be any change. You will be again getting back the unpolarized light itself. So then you will be seeing the same situation as before, that is no variation in the density. Only if it is circularly polarized light, then when you pass it through a quarter wave plate, you'll get a plane polarized light, and you'll get the condition for the plane polarized light, which is maximum and minimum. So this is how we distinguish a circularly polarized light from a unpolarized light. Thank you.